I thought I'd talk with everybody a little bit about how to film inside of your car. This is something that takes some practice. However, if you are considering to document full self-driving, you do have to have 3 things in place. Number 1, the hardware and all the accessories. Number 2, the ability to speak well in front of a camera. And number 3, the video editing software. All 3 of these are key, but first and foremost, and probably the most important, you have to be passionate, you have to be motivated, and you have to have fun doing it. If you don't enjoy creating content, you're going to struggle continuing, because once you start, you really have to commit to yourself to continue posting content. Now, it depends on your goal. Some people may just want to document full self-driving, for example, inside of their Tesla, just for fun. It could be any other car, depends on what you're trying to film, but it could be all for you. And in that case, you can post private videos, you can keep a vlog and just post for your friends and family. But I think the vast majority of people really want to achieve some sort of success in having more views, having more subscribers, and ultimately making income by having a YouTube channel. Now, I'm going to say right away that some people go way overboard on number 1, and they buy the most expensive hardware possible, and they get a drone, and they go, all out. And that's great. But sometimes, and I know a perfect example of this, sometimes that does not improve your subscribers and your popularity. It really comes down to the second piece, is speaking in front of a camera. And this is where a lot of time and practice come in. And to be honest with you, it comes with experience. So if you are really wanting to get started, I would encourage you to just start. Don't think you need to practice and have everything prepared. Start small. Just get one camera and get your phone. So you're gonna have to have a camera to film the front, facing to see everything, and then your phone to have your face in the camera. And you have to be the judge on how often to show your face. Let me tell you this is one very important thing about posting content. The minute somebody clicks on your video, they are looking for an excuse to click away. And it is a fact. So if you don't hook them in the very beginning with something that is extremely attractive, where they want to stay and watch your video, they are going to leave. So very important to be entertaining, to capture your audience and keep them there. A lot of the content is moving toward YouTube Shorts, for example, and TikTok and Instagram with Reels. People want to see something for a minute or less and then move on to the next video. And that's perfectly fine if that's the goal of your content. You can keep it very short. And in that case, you're going to want to film in portrait mode. For me, I almost exclusively film in landscape mode. And I'm not saying that my way is the best. It really depends on the format that you want to film in. But that is the probably one of the most important things, is being able to speak and kind of how you piece your video together and capture your audience. The third element I'll go into very briefly, this could easily become an hour-long video, is the video editing. So let's start with the first one, the video capturing equipment. I have an HDMI output coming out of my screen, and it has a modified 3D printed unit on the back of the screen, and I'm able to connect an HDMI cable with a video capture card that goes into a tablet. This tablet is a Amazon Fire tablet, and I'm using a app called USB Camera Pro. I'm sure there are other apps out there. I think it was like $4.99 to get this app. And then you hit the record button after configuring some of the settings, and you can capture the video output. The screen itself, it's not necessary to get the screen if you have a really great camera inside of your car. Now, I started out really basic with the GoPro Hero Black 7. And I filmed with this for a good 3 to 4 years. It is a great, great camera, and it's very, very affordable. So if you're on a budget, I highly recommend getting a GoPro Hero Black 7. This has the camera stabilization, what they call hyper smooth stabilization built into it. This is the first camera that brought that feature, and it is absolutely necessary for driving because your camera is going to wobble all over the place. It's going to sway back and forth. You definitely need the hyper smooth stabilization with a GoPro. Recently, however, I did find a much better option, the DJI Action 5 Pro. There's also an Action 4 camera. You could probably save $75 to $100, but the Action 5 Pro just came out, I believe it was in September 2024, so it's very new. But the nice thing about this camera is even though it records in 4K footage, same as the GoPro Hero Black 7, and you're always going to want 4K, to be honest with you, I had filmed with 1080p for the longest time initially. You do not need to jump straight to 4K video because the PC that you use or the Mac that you use has to be pretty powerful in order to render that footage, and 4K will take a lot longer than editing and rendering and exporting 1080p, for example. But even though these both film in 4K, the contrast with the lighting is way, way better with the DJI or any modern. I think if you use a GoPro 13, you're going to get a better in-car filming experience. For outside of the car, if you choose to film outside of your car, that's kind of the next level, I would say. You can just use a GoPro Hero Black 7. Nothing fancy because you're outdoors. Everything's going to be, the lighting is consistent all around the camera. You don't have the darkness inside of the cabin and then the light outside, which can really distort the exposure. But definitely, if you use a DJI Action camera, you're going to get really great video footage of your screen. And in fact, you can move it really close up to your screen and get a really great video feed. So you don't absolutely need to get the HDMI output for your screen. Now, that HDMI output works, I believe, only with the Model 3 and Model Y. And you can contact a gentleman named Adam Urban on X to purchase one. He makes a limited number of them and he will sell them to you. It's basically a whole new screen. And he has switched now to you sending him a screen. So you might have to buy one off of eBay. And you can get a screen for $700. Most people think, oh, the screen, that's going to be really expensive. I think maybe even $500. You can get a used screen from another Tesla for a pretty decent price. But just keep in mind that that screen is going to cost you around $1,000 to $1,500. So that's going to be a bit pricey. It might be too much for getting a channel started. For getting a channel started, really all you need, like I said, is one really nice camera, starting with the GoPro Hero Black 7, and a phone. Now the phone, like I'm using right now to film my face, has to have at least 2 lenses on it. And the reason I say that is because you get that focus where you get the background is blurred a little bit. That is really going to add some elements to your video that make it look a lot nicer. And then also you get, and my camera, by the way, is an iPhone 13 Pro Max. So I have 3 cameras built in. With 2 or more lenses, what you can do is zoom out to that 0.5 ratio. And I will say that generally speaking, unless you are a very beautifully looking person, which I know I am not, people don't want a close-up of your face. So if you get that 0.5 setting where you can zoom out a little bit and you get more of like the inside of the car, it's just going to look nicer. I know some really beautiful YouTubers, I'm not going to name their names, that film inside of their car, and I would love if it was closer up, but even they film with a zoomed out lens. So that is a really, I think it adds a lot to the video. So you're going to want a mount for your phone that would be suction cupped to your window. And that mount is very affordable. I think it's on the order of $7 or $8. All of the links for all of my equipment are posted in the descriptions of my videos, and you can find those at any time if you do click that link, please follow through with purchasing it from that link, because then I get a very small commission from selling that item off of Amazon. It's so minimal. I think in 6 months I make like $10. So don't feel like, oh man, he's making out like a bandit by us using his link. No, it can't be further from the truth. I'm the smallest YouTube creator you could possibly imagine, although I have achieved more than 10,000 subs. Thank you so much. So I'm not like the smallest, if that makes any sense. So I do appreciate your support greatly for purchasing those products from my referrals. That would be the mount for your camera that sits inside of your car. And probably above all else, like if you're going to spend any substantial amount of money, I would say get a good microphone. However, if you are, like I said, on a very strict budget, you can get away with, I believe the AirPods would work, but I never actually got the AirPods. But these just standard, and I always have to untangle these. I can't tell you how many years I spent untangling these headphones. This is just the standard headphones from Apple. So if you have an Apple device, these are really, really great. It just plugs into your phone, and you pop these in. It has great noise cancellation built into these headphones, and it does extremely well. You'd be very surprised how well these record audio. Don't be afraid to just start small and just use these headphones. Probably the AirPods, and those are a little bit expensive. Probably those would look a little bit nicer, but they're not necessary. If you're self-conscious of having these wires dangling down, which I did for years on my channel, then just don't show your face. That's totally fine. You can film without showing your face. And in fact, that may actually be more intriguing for your viewers, because let's say you do become popular over time. They're going to want to know, what does this guy look like? He's been talking to me for so long. I'm now very curious. Like, just as an example, there's a YouTuber that also films FSD content named AI Driver, who I think probably a lot of you know, who went around wearing a helmet and filming like that for many, many years before he revealed his true identity. And he had a valid reason, because he was actually working at Tesla. If you just want for that privacy reason, or maybe you don't like the way you look on camera, that's totally fine to not film your face. But my point is, the audio is really, really important. If you have enough money, I definitely would recommend to get the DJI Mic 2. This comes with a kit where you get a little charging case, and inside of here you get a receiver and 2 transmitters. So if you have an interview that you're doing and somebody else that joins you for a trip, which of course is going to add to your content, you have 2 microphones. You would put them in stereo mode. So one is on the left channel, the other is on the right channel. Then later when you're editing, you would combine them into stereo. Each channel would be stereo themselves. But this little kit comes with 2 different adapters, one for USB-C and one for the lightning cable, so that you can connect it to your smartphone and also to your computer. And this greatly improves your audio. That's what I use now exclusively for all of my in-car audio. And there's a big debate of whether you should use the noise cancellation technology. There is an option to turn that on. However, I have found that as I'm filming, when the car makes sounds, like with the autopilot turning on or other dings that happen inside of the car, it will try to mute that. The noise cancellation algorithm will try to mute that, and then the audio thereafter will sound a little bit distorted. So I turn that off now. It's easier to do that in post-editing. You can remove the background noise, and I can go over that in another video probably. That's a little bit too detailed for this one. And again, I think this is a very worthwhile investment for filming inside of your car. These do come with windscreens, pretty straightforward. I don't use these all the time unless I'm outdoors filming, and for that I do recommend getting a tripod. With the outdoor, you're going to have to use a mount. So let me show you the mount that I have. For a very low profile, very quick down and dirty solution, you can get this. It doesn't really go much higher than this, and it's fixed. You can rotate your GoPro so that it can go, forwards and backwards like this. But this would basically get suction cupped right above on top of your car. So it's going to give you a nice overhead view. This is very cost effective and it works awesome. I highly recommend this. And before you put this on, you're going to want to wipe down your glass. I did make the mistake once where I did not wipe it down and my GoPro flew off my car and hit the cement. And in fact, I have 2 GoPros here. I accumulated 2 over time, 2 GoPro 7s. Now the DJI Action has essentially replaced one of these GoPros. I still use the GoPro Hero Black 7 for outside of my car, and now I'm almost exclusively using the DJI Action for inside of my car. But just to show you here, it did fall off. There's a big scrape on the GoPro from it falling off of my roof. So you definitely want to clean your glass. Don't make the mistake that I made. I thought it was clean, but there was a little bit of dust on the car. So wiping that off with a detailer spray and a microfiber cloth will ensure that the suction cups stick and stay on there. So you have your mount for above your car. The next level up from this, if you want to really just come straight out of the gate and film really, really nice content, is you would get a huge extension, and I have a link to this in the description as well. This is a Pel King mount, and it goes really high up, and there's a bracket that holds it in place. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just pull it all the way up. You use a Allen wrench to secure it in place, and you have to make sure all the screws on here are tight, and double check all of the little turn points to secure it in place before you take off, because the last thing you want is this to come crashing down. Thankfully, I've not had that happen, and I really hope it does not ever happen while I'm filming. But this will get the camera way up high, and you can experiment. You can have it go far in back of your car, kind of GTA style, all sorts of different options with this. I have had a lot of fun filming with this guy. And again, this is kind of the next level up. If you're looking to just get started, bare bones, definitely just get a mount like this. Or first step, and this is how I started, is just film inside your car. 2 cameras. Keep it real simple. 1 camera hanging down from in here. You can see the steering wheel, you can see the pedals, you can see the screen. And highly recommend the DJI Action 5 Pro for that. It goes for about $360, I want to say. So you're under $400 for that camera. And then you don't need to get the HDMI output for the screen inside of your car. And then that would be your 1 camera here. And I'll show you the mount that I use inside of my car for that. And then obviously the mount for your phone. The phone is going to be important, and that's where your audio is going to be coming in. However, the DJI Action 5 and the DJI Action 4 can support the DJI Mic 2 over Bluetooth. It will pair seamlessly. So now you have wireless audio coming into this camera. I have not started using that, but moving forward, that's going to be my primary way of capturing that audio. Right now, I use the audio coming directly into my phone, and I've always done that. Now, when you have multiple video feeds, for example, your phone and the in-car camera, and let's say you have a third one outside of your car, you're going to want to synchronize all of them together. And to do that, I always roll down my window and I do something like this. Now, obviously you never see that, but that clapping sound allows me to, in the editing process, see the audio tracks and line them up so now all of the video is in sync with each other. Really, really key. And if you are doing the HDMI output capture, there is an option to turn on audio capture as well, so then you can synchronize that exactly with everything. Now, if you forget to do that, which is normal, you can just look at, when does the car start moving and synchronize all the video tracks that way. That's a great way of doing it. Otherwise, you can try to synchronize the audio. The challenge with that is when you have a camera outside of your car, you're not going to hear your voice speaking. So that's going to be one of those challenges. So for mounting a camera inside of your car, this DJI Action camera comes with a little case, and I don't know if I have it here. I actually don't have it here, but it goes all the way around the camera, and then there's a little foot mount, and then that foot mount has a bracket that will connect to a mount. Now the mount, there's two options that I would recommend. One is more expensive than the other, but both do the job. So this is, I think, about $30, and it's really sturdy. This thing locks in place. These levers will tighten down really nice, and it has a gimbal here. If you loosen this, it's like a ball socket, and this thing moves all around. So if I loosen both of them, look at how much flexibility you have with this mount. You can mount the camera in so many different directions. Now it does not come with this little extender, so you're going to want to find a little extender. This is going to give you that extra height come down. There are many different options for the extender. Just to show you here, I have two, this is the other mount, but I have two extenders on here. I have a long rod right here, and then a small rod. And I would recommend picking up multiple rods just so you can mix and match and get the right height that you need. So some people like to film where it's down below where your eyes are so that you get kind of a straight shot. My gripe with that is that it doesn't match what you see as a human driver. If you really want to be bold, you can mount this right in front of your face, and it would basically mimic exactly you driving the car. Now, of course, that introduces a safety aspect, so I wouldn't actually recommend it. My favorite position is essentially right here, offset from the middle, just a little bit to the left, but kind of in line with my eyes. I have experimented with it coming down even further, and that also produces really great results. So these little bars, there's another bar I was looking for over here that is like this. I think this actually comes with this mount. So when you get this mount for, I think it's like $30, it's a little bit pricey, $30 or $40, you get one of these already. So this is nice to have. But if you can see, this one is about the same size, but having a smaller one and just different options, like this one is a little bit larger, as you can see. And then obviously this one right here is really, really small. Finding these can be a little bit challenging, so I'll do my best to throw some links in the description just so you can get some different options for the height. Now with this mount, while it's really great, it only has one suction cup. So it does have some drawbacks. You definitely don't want your camera, a really expensive camera, falling and then getting scratched. So that's one downside. However, when you tighten this down, there's a really nice turn point here. And when you tighten it down, the suction cup, it basically compresses really nicely. So you do get a nice, solid, firm grip on the roof of your car. If you mount this in the back, there are some heating elements on the glass, and if your suction cup is on top of those, you are going to have an issue. It might not stay there. And I've had that happen many times, and I didn't realize why. But just know that if you have anything interrupting the air flow with the suction force, you're going to have a difficult time having it stay up there. This mount, while it's nice, it's pricey. So that's where this comes in, and where I filmed with this for probably a good 3 years, three or 4 years. And this is really nice because you have 3 suction cups just in case, and you can move these in any direction that you want, and you can offset it as far as you want, and then your camera gets mounted right here. So this is probably my go-to mount for your camera. With that said, going back to the other mount really quick, I do like this mount for one reason. It's really quick. Let me just tighten these down. It's really quick and easy. Let's say you have your camera. So I'm going to move this forward like this. There's 2 little knobs right here. If you press them down, it opens this clamp up. And this is really, really nice for putting your camera in there very quickly and easily. And I have filmed successfully with this for quite a few videos. So I'll just show you an example. It clamps down like this, and there's enough force that it stays in there, and if it vibrates, it's not going to come loose. And it's so fast and easy to put your camera in there and to take it out. Now the challenge is if you are live streaming or if you have like a cable that you want to connect while you're filming, which is unlikely unless, like I said, you do a lot of live videos. Because in the case that you do live videos, you're going to want to connect a USB-C cable, and then you can broadcast that to a computer that would sit inside of your car, for example. The other use case would be if you need to charge your camera, which with the DJI Action 5 Pro, one big advantage is the battery lasts 4 hours. That is phenomenal. This is the longest lasting battery out of all of the cameras. So all said and done, I think I've covered everything. All said and done, you really need 2 cameras. A nice camera that gets the contrast inside of your car. I recommend the DJI Action 4 at a minimum. A DJI 5 is nice for an extra $75 or so. And you need your phone and a microphone. So those 3 things are really going to set you apart and get you jump started for your content. Remember, don't go overboard with video until you gain a little bit of a following and you prove to yourself that you can film successfully and that you enjoy producing content. So start small would be my biggest recommendation, and then build from there. Practice makes perfect. Talk in front of a camera and just get used to speaking, and try to eliminate any ums and anything that creates cringe. My daughters would always say to me, "Oh, Daddy, that's so cringe." And they're right. You know, a lot of the times they are absolutely right. Try to avoid that as much as you can, because people will tear you apart for that. They will stop watching your video, and they will never subscribe to your channel if you have some sort of hang up. Another cringe thing is saying the same thing over and over again. Like if you say like a lot, well, like and like and like and like, or and whatnot, or, you know, just don't repeat yourself over and over again on certain things. It's going to hurt you more than it will help you. Be cognizant of what you're saying, and also plan things out. Writing a script is not always necessary, but having a good idea of what you're going to be talking about and kind of your speech pattern is important to making a successful video. Last element here before I close it out is the video editing software. I'm going to walk you through my process. I film, I go back, and I take all of that video footage, and I now connect those cameras directly up to my computer, and I download. I import all of those videos into my computer, and I store them in a folder. I usually put a date on that folder, and then I take those videos and I drag them into my video editing software. I recommend to use DaVinci Resolve. Version 19 is the latest version, and with that version you have a timeline and you can then start mixing all of your content. It is very important that you switch things up. Change the camera view. People don't like to see the same view for more than a minute. Change it up regularly, and that will really improve the watch time, and people will stay intrigued, and they'll continue to follow you, and you'll get more subscribers that way. So changing the content takes extra work. You're going to have to use the blade tool to slice your timeline into segments and move things up. You're going to have multiple segments to be recording with. All these things are necessary to make a successful video. And then the audio, make sure that it's playing back in stereo. Sometimes, depending on the microphone, especially if you're using the Apple headset, you're going to have a mono track. So you're going to have to right click and change it to add in stereo. You can add a second stereo track to make sure that that's there. In intro, having a fancy intro is helpful. You should also focus on having some sort of branding, and with time, all of this will come with time. And, you know, add stuff into your descriptions and put chapters in. If you can put chapters in to break it up so it's faster and easier. In fact, if you're new, I highly recommend using chapters, and mention that in the very beginning so you save people a lot of time. If you feel that your content is boring people, they're going to click away. But if you give them a reason to skip ahead, and even if you take some of your content, the most powerful content should be up front. Post that at the very beginning of the video if you can. So if you have a moment that is like the highlight of your video, take that little snippet out, bring it all the way to the front, and start with that. And give them a reason to watch your video. Really important. That hook means so much for your content. So take that clip, move it to the front. Another tip is to explain the purpose and avoid any clickbait titles. The title and thumbnail are obviously very important. There's tons of videos talking about how to be a successful content creator and the psychology. There's a lot of psychology involved, but title and content and description are all very important. Chapters, though, I can't say enough about that. That'll save a lot of people a lot of time, especially if they're new and they're like, I don't know about this guy, and you start rambling like I'm rambling right now. People aren't going to want to listen to you. So let me know in the comments down below what you want to hear more about. I covered 3 things in this video. One was all of the video equipment. The second was how you communicate, kind of the psychology and the speech pattern, and you as a human just having a good microphone. The third element was the video editing. I have a feeling a lot of you are going to want to see more about the video editing. That gets complicated very, very quick, and you have to have a passion for doing some of that. If you've never done any video editing before, you could probably get away with editing with iMovie or some other application. I also, on my phone, when I'm making shorts, for example, I use CapCut and VN Editor. Those are the 2 apps that I use on my phone, and that will really help you to create short form content. And that seems to be a big majority of content these days. If you're also just getting started, I recommend getting on Instagram, getting on Twitter, getting on YouTube, getting on Facebook. Try to max out your socials, but focus on the ones that are going to pay you the most. And that's really going to come down to YouTube and X. X, you have to go premium, get that premium subscription, and make sure you sign up over a web page and not through the app. You'll save a lot of money getting an annual subscription through a web page. And you may think, oh man, I don't want to pay that money. But keep in mind, the more you post and the more active you are on there, you will get a return on your investment. And it pays off to continually be on there and posting content. Because if you're going down this path, you're going to want to share and get your content exposed as much as possible. And the best way to do that is to be on X, in my opinion. The YouTube algorithm is tricky to figure out. So I'm not an expert with that, but content creation is rewarded whenever you do it regularly. So try to post a video, once a week, maybe once every other week, but definitely don't just post a video and then have like 1 or 2 months go by where you don't post another video. Now, of course, it depends on if you're posting it privately for yourself or if your real intent is to have your videos for historic purposes, just for family and friends, then that's completely separate discussion. But I hope this was helpful. Again, let me know in the comments what you want to hear more about, and I will get off of my pedestal here and stop talking. So thanks for staying with me. If you watched it all the way to the end, you are awesome. And I hope this, like I said, was helpful. I hope you guys got something out of this. And I'm just looking around, making sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I did. I covered everything that I wanted to cover. If you have come across, by the way, I'm also interested in learning from you. So if you have come across anything that has made you successful, let me know. Thanks, guys. I'll see you later. I'll see you in the next video.